And with us in studio this morning is Pam Zwicki,
Good
life
morning.
coach. How you doing, Coach?
Good.
People call you Coach?
Coach. I'm great this morning. Thank you.
Good. People call Holly's husband Coach all the time. He was a coach, that's
Because
why.
he was a
Oh,
coach.
okay.
Yeah. Not just, like, hey, Coach.
Sarge, coach.
Yeah. But, so you're a life coach,
Yes.
and where are you working? Where do you take clients and things like that?
Oh, my business is Powerful Purpose, and I do a lot of one-on-one coaching. Also do workshops, speaking engagements, and I go to the person, or do we do it on the phone through Skype?
Oh, really?
Yes.
So that must be a big change for people to do Skype.
It is, but it actually is very comfortable. And
Is it really?
it is comfortable. I always like to meet people in person, but if you can't meet someone in person, at least you get to see their face and you get to know them on the Skype versus
Okay.
just on the phone.
Now, I've never Skyped or anything like that. So can you see your own face on your screen when you're Skyping?
You can. It's a little box down in the. Mine is on the right-hand corner, so you can see your facial expressions, which is also very interesting to critique yourself while you're talking to people.
I don't know if I'd want to see myself.
I'm sure it's a
I'd be
feature.
like looking for blemishes and stuff, and am I really looking at? I don't want to stare right at the camera, but I don't want to look off to the upper left or upper right like I'm thinking of the answer. I don't want to look down like I'm lying. I don't know the answer. So there's too much body language going on. I don't think I want to pay attention to all that stuff.
That's why you like radio?
Pretty much, yeah. If I was doing TV, this would be way different.
Paying attention is not one of his big, strong points.
So, but no, I would be totally distracted. I'd be like, too much nose angle. I wouldn't even know what to do with myself at that point.
I think it may be a feeture you probably could shut off.
I would put at least put a bag over it.
There
or
you
something.
go.
Yeah. Put a bag over my own head. We're here talking about changes, though, but in the stages that go through. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, I want to make a change or I need to make a change. Do you find that people come to you more often when they're already in the process of making a change? Or do they just want to get something to jump off? I need somewhere to start. I feel like making a change.
Well, one of the areas that I do work with is on transitional changes where people are looking to actually make a change.
Okay.
Find their passion. Maybe they've been doing something for 20, 30 years and they're ready to move on. Those changes go through the same stages as if somebody lost a job, right? Because there's still the different stages that you go through when something changes in your life. No one likes change. It makes people uncomfortable. But it does help you get through that comfort zone to push you forward and look at the opportunities that you have ahead of you.
So are you saying, well, you may, I'm putting words in your mouth, but are people more willing to stay unhappy than to accept a change or to look to make a change?
I think so sometimes. I really do. I think when you are in a fear stage, which is the first, part of change, is being fearful of not knowing what's going to happen. The nervousness of that keeps people staying where they are. And
People don't want to go, it's hard.
exactly, it's really hard. But once you figure out and you go through the discovery stage of change and you start looking into it and finding out all the opportunities that are out there now that this change has happened, you still get afraid of it, but you're able to push forward because you're starting to visualize what's going to happen in the future.
All right, so let's talk about some of the stages that you start to make a change. There's the fear stage, but this isn't like sometimes changes of your own volition, but sometimes these changes are forced upon you. So automatically, when something is forced upon you, you're more reluctant to make that change. You want to fight to hang on to what you had, I think, sometimes. And you brought up fear.
Right.
Is it the fear of change, or is it the fear of just the total unknown? Because you may know what's on the other side.
Exactly. Well, I think it all depends on what the actual change is. But I do believe that the fear of the unknown is probably the most scariest for people, right? Not knowing what's going to happen next. So what we do is we go through a process of what I call the what ifs, right? So what if this happens? Exactly what's going to happen if you lose your job, what's going to happen? People
There's
are
going to be a
nervous.
domino effect that's going to happen anyway.
Exactly. It's going to happen. So let's look at it on a positive side and start looking at the opportunities from losing that job. And those opportunities might arise that you're able to have a new opportunity to go after your passion or do something that you've always wanted to do, but you were afraid to make that change yourself.
Makes sense. And what if if you've decided to make the change? It's not something that's forced upon you. Is that fear stage not as great, or is it still the same?
I think it's still the same, even though you have control of it. It's still a big step. If you're doing something for a long time and you're in an industry for, say myself, for 28 years,
Yep.
and I decided to start this coaching business, I'm still doing the other industry, but the fear of that maybe someday this is going to be what I'm doing, and the fear of the changes not having the steadiness of what I know every single day.
Yeah.
But the excitement of owning something yourself and growing that passion outweighs that fear of maybe moving on.
What are some of the stages or things you should look for when you start entering that fear stage? There's going to be certain physiological changes to your body that happen to you, but emotionally as well. What are some of the things you want to look for so you're aware that you're actually in this stage, or that you can help overcome these fears?
Sure. You could start feeling maybe a little nervous in your belly, lack of sleep, or lack of appetite. Just these different stages that you start thinking. You might start thinking the worst and getting panic attacks. But the way to handle when you're in that fear stage is go into meditation. Meditation is a good place to be, and just to calm yourself down. If you're spiritual, talk to your higher being. Just ask for guidance through this, because we've all had a change in our life, as small as maybe our parents moved to a different city, right? And we had to start a new school. We made it through it. If we really look back on the different stages in our lives, we've made through the changes. They might not have been as smooth as we wanted to, but we ended up getting to the other side.
Yeah, and you came through okay.
And you came through okay, exactly.
You brought up meditation. One of the things I told you when you first started here, we did the show a month ago, and I told you again this morning, there's two things I ask you for: be prepared and to breathe.
Exactly.
And that's a sort of meditation, just quieting yourself and breathing and knowing what you're focusing on, correct?
That's correct. That's correct. And one of the meditations I do is a breathing meditation, and that's all it is. It's just 5 minutes of it walking through your breathing technique. And it's amazing after the 5 minutes how much calmer you are and clearer your mind is and ready to tackle what might be in front of you with this change.
Yeah, because change is going to happen anyway. It's inevitable.
It is. It is.
You know, and
it's all how we handle it and how we react to it.
all right, so that's discussing some of the fear stage. Now we're going to enter the second phase of change, which would be the discovery stage.
Right.
What is that about? I mean, obviously it's like, are you looking up information? Are you looking for other groups to talk to? Is that the discovery stage, or is it something completely? I'm missing the boat on that.
No, it's a combination of both. It's a lot of inner discovery. We do a lot of self-discovery when I'm working with my clients, and it's a series of questions that we go to and visualization of where we want to be, and we hone in on areas in our life that maybe as a child we'd love to draw, right? And that's something that's a passion of ours. But we went off and we got a job as a secretary, and that's where we ended up staying because it paid the bills. But now there's a change that maybe that is an area that we could focus in on and grow that more. And then also part of the discovery stage is doing, like you said, Google searches and see what is out there. Google what you love to do. Find a mentor. I help people find mentors in those areas that they might want to move forward
Really?
into.
So that's something that you offer as well. Not you being the mentor, but helping them find the right person to guide them through.
Because I have a great network around me. So I'm usually able to find somebody in the field that you might want to go into, and then I'll connect those people together to talk. So that's part of the discovery, is just listening to your inner self, clearing your mind and listening to your inner self of how you're going to move forward. It may be a divorce. Say it's not even a job. Say it's a divorce. And now all of a sudden you're a single dad or a single mom or just single in general. What is out there for you to go to? There's all different areas and groups and researching of dating sites and different communities that you can join to help you through that support process.
Is it something that you should realize, or maybe someone should mention to you occasionally, is that change does not only just happen to you?
That's a great thing to remember, that you're not in it alone. You're not in it alone. It happens to all of us. And we don't know what everybody's story is. Everyone has their own story. And once you start maybe being comfortable talking about it, it's amazing how many people around you are going through that same story. And that creates a really nice discovery and support system of how they go through it.
Yeah. I know that when I hear stories of Holly when she was a kid, how she was really into horses and equestrian. And I know that you don't have a horse now, but I still think that that's a passion you've always carried with you, that you've let go.
Well, yeah, I had to.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not by choice. I mean,
Right.
if I had the choice, if I was at the ability, I would still have horses.
Or you could take care of horses.
I could.
That's right. And
So-
there's different ways you could feel the change in your life by doing different things like that.
Because sometimes it's not a physical change. It could be a perception change.
That's right. Looking at your life at a different angle, coming in it a little differently helps you see, or working with somebody or talking with somebody that's going through it too. They may have the ideas that they've already discovered that they're going to share with you. And that's a great learning experience.
I mean, if we're just talking about jobs, if I'm doing job A and I'm not making a lot of money and I'm not really happy at it, but I see job B might become available and it's not going to make me any more money, why wouldn't I want to take a shot at job B? It may make me more fulfilled. But then there's that fear of the unknown. What if I don't like it? What if this? What if that?
Exactly.
There's so many questions that go into this. And it's good to have that support group, that mentor, someone you could even talk to. Or again, realize you're not the only one. It doesn't have to be that exact change, but people are also going through different stages and changes as well.
That's right. And that's what I'm not only a coach for people, I end up being, a friend, a support system, someplace they come to, somebody to hold them accountable is a big part of change, is holding yourself accountable so you could get to the next step and you don't end up in the same place where you might have been before. I have a client who is she's been in retail for about 30 years. She's not happy at her job right now. I know, right?
He did it. He did it for a long time.
I used to do retail too, and yes, it takes a special person to stay in it for that long. She is interviewing right now with another company that may pay her less, but because this other company is a better fit for her, she's willing to take that change to have more fulfillment in her life.
Well, if you're able to do that financially,
Absolutely.
that's great.
It is.
But
And not
a lot of
everybody
people's
is.
able to do that.
Right, and not everybody is. You're absolutely right, Holly. So those are the whole picture that you have to look at, and that's what we go through, like a checklist almost, of financially, mentally, physically, spiritually.
Are my kids old enough to make this
change? Exactly.
Will my kids take me in when?
Yeah, are my kids
This
old
job
enough to
too.
take care of me now? We're talking with Pam Drzwicki here on the Miscellaneous Morning Show on WAPJ Torrington. She's a life coach, and we're talking about the stages of making changes. We talked a little bit about the fear stage, which the fear of the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. Where we're talking a little bit about the discovery stage, but coming up, we want to talk about creating opportunities. Is that for change or after the change have already started? That one I'm a little fuzzy on. Creating opportunities.
That's interesting. Well, if you are looking to make a change on your own, it would be great to create some opportunities before you make that change, right? So
start networking.
Exactly. Start, putting your feelers out of where you want to go before you actually make that change. And where you go, say again, back to a divorce, it might not be because you're moving on to another person. It's just because you need to move on out of that particular relationship that you're in and creating the opportunities of a support system around there. Now, if the change is something that you didn't request and it's happening to you, now this is the time that you've gone through the fear stage, you've gone through discovery. What opportunities are going to come out of this? What positive is happening because of this change? Because there is always a positive lining in there. And sometimes it takes a little longer to feed through all this stuff to get to it. But once you get to it, it's there. And that's all about looking at it in different angles.
And when you are the one to decide to make these change, is it easier for you to decide to make the change, or do you find people are more reluctant to change when it's been thrust upon? I mean, like when you have no choice,
right?
Are people more apt to persevere and move forward, or are they? Or they just become so stuck and overwhelmed that they can't do anything?
I think at different stages, like if all of a sudden they got a pink slip, I think they go into a fear stage, and at that point.
Well, I think it's an anger stage first.
Oh, absolutely. And then they're like, oh, my gosh, what am I going to do? And then the discovery stage might not go through as big as if you were going to do it on your own, because now they have to create opportunities really quick.
Yeah, now.
And so jumping to the next opportunity might not be the passion place where they want to be. It may just be out of having to do it. And then once they get to that necessity, exactly. And once they get there, then if they find, okay, now I feel more comfortable where I am, it might not be exactly where I want to be, but now they almost could take change in their own hands at that point, because now they could start looking at it and creating opportunities and be ready for the next step to move on when they want to move on, and not because they were let go.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be creating opportunities, you may want to set a goal of a year or 2 years, something where you can put the steps in proper place so that when the change comes, it's not such a drastic shock.
That's right.
You've worked your way into this, if it works out that way.
If it works out that way. We could, even if it didn't work out that way and we jumped into something because we had to, we could always start setting those goals then. And make a 3-year goal, a 2-year goal, a 1-year goal, and break it down, because we know every day turns into another day, and it's quick, and before you know it, we're in July, right? We're almost over in the middle of the summer. In 2016, and we're in 7 months into the year already. So if you wanted to make a change in January and you're not addressing it something daily, you're going to be July and you're still going to be where you were in January.
Yeah, because you didn't start.
And that's the biggest thing. We just have to get started.
Is it? Do you think people are afraid of the effort?
I think so. It's a lot of hard work. Change either way is a lot of hard work, right? Changing your life, maybe relocating, relationship-wise, it's a lot of hard work. And it's easier to stay comfortable, they think, than to break out of your comfort zone and move on to the next step. Because once you're there, life is a lot easier. It may be hard work, but when you like something, it's not as hard work to make it happen.
How often should you allow yourself to be set back?
To be set back?
Yeah, I mean, because sometimes you're going to be setting up a goal and it's not going to happen. You're not going to reach that goal. How should you move on from missing that mark, setting that goal? Is it resetting? Is it maybe I'm on the wrong path? Are you starting to question yourself too much?
Right. Well, you have to watch if you're questioning yourself too much, because that could be your inner self talking to you about staying in your comfort zone,
Yeah.
right?
I want to stay where I am because I'm comfortable here.
Exactly. But if you make a mistake or you didn't hit that mark, try again. Just reset that. Whatever that goal was, just reset it and keep on trying because it will work. I mean, I don't know the exact specifics, but I remember hearing that Edison tried making the light bulb. I don't know how many times he tried to make it, but he just looked at it as they weren't false starts. They were just other attempts to show him that that's not the way you make the light bulb, right? So, and that's how you just kind of look at the change in your life. Just figuring out there's always opportunities.
Things may not always work out the way you planned them.
But that may be, exactly, but that may be the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, you have to learn what doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Right.
At the same exact time as you're moving on. When you're starting to appreciate your goal and you get to where you're making those changes, do you find that your self-esteem will work its way back up? Do you find that your motivation, do you find that you'll jump in with both feet now instead of dragging 1 foot behind you?
Yes, I think so. The biggest thing, too, is that as you make progress, make sure you celebrate, right? Every little step, there should be a celebration. If the change is that you want to be healthier and weight loss, find something that you could celebrate when you hit your marks, right? Mm-hmm. So if, say for me, making my Facebook page, when I hit 500 likes, that was a goal for me, that I wanted 500 likes on my Powerful Purpose Facebook page. I celebrated by giving back something to that 500th person.
Yeah.
So just set your little celebrations during the change, and create and be happy where you are, because there's always tomorrow to take that next step.
It almost sounds like this is something where you want to have a delayed gratification.
Absolutely. And which is unusual for nowadays, right? We want instant gratification. So I think that sometimes is hard when people set these, 2 or 3 or 5 year goals, because they want instant gratification. They want it to happen right now. And if they have to wait the 5 years, then that's every day they have to do something to create that change the way they want it to happen. And that gets time consuming and overwhelming. But it's very satisfying when you start seeing it all come together.
What are some of the things that you've offered to people to help reward themselves?
Well, I think massages are a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I don't think many people are going to argue with that.
Well, like with weight, say they're going through a weight loss or getting healthy. A lot of people say, oh, if I lose this 10 pounds, I'm going to eat pizza. Well, I think...
You're going to put the 3 right back on. Yeah.
Exactly.
One piece of pizza is not going to hurt you.
It's not going to hurt you. All in moderation, everything, right?
That's
everything in moderation. So whatever is going to make you happy but doesn't create a trigger to go back to where you were. So, I mean, like I like massages as a reward for myself. People may, if they ran a 5K, they get themselves a medal if they didn't get a medal themselves from the 5K. So just finding something that will help you feel accomplished and fulfilled. That is the most important thing, is to feel accomplished and fulfilled after all these changes have taken place.
So you put in all the hard work and allow yourself to be grateful.
Absolutely. Grateful is a huge thing. Every day, I started a 30-day gratitude challenge on Facebook. It's a page that I did. And every day, it's something simple as being grateful for a specific taste or a fabric or something in nature. And it's very small, but after the 30 days, it shows you how much we have out there that we can be grateful every day that we take for granted.
How many people realize that, how important it is to realize there are positive things that are happening in your life?
There is a lot of positive things that are happening, and just taking the time to actually just recognize them. And the change may be something really positive in the long run that takes place for you. Just because it may be forced on you doesn't mean that it's not a good thing for you.
We're talking about some of the stages of making changes. We talked about the fear stage, the discovery stage, and creating opportunity. We're here with Pam Druzwicki. from.
Powerful Purpose.
Thank you. Should have spaced on that one.
No problem.
And you can find her on Facebook as well.
Facebook, and then my website, www.powerful-purpose.com, or you can reach me on my email at pam@powerful-purpose.com.
Now, did people did they reach out to you last time you were here and say, hey, I found out, I was listening to this and I heard this, and can I ask you about that?
They did. I did get some emails, and it was really exciting to get the emails from people. And just even people on my own network were very excited to see that, and received a few phone calls to meet up with people to talk about boundaries and setting up new opportunities.
That's because we talked about last time was setting up boundaries, which was very simple for me, but not as always easy for everybody else. And making changes, I think, is probably the hardest thing that you'll decide to do. One of the hardest things, if it's a decision that you're making. Sometimes they're thrust upon you, whether through its illness or death or life circumstances. But the ones where you're saying, I'm going to give up everything that I know and everything that I'm comfortable with because I'm not fulfilled, I'm not happy, and I'm going to reach out and I'm going to give this a shot. That's got to be a very unnerving, scary thing for people.
I think it is. I mean, I know for myself it is. It can be, but staying positive with it and really looking at it and saying to yourself, we have one life and it goes so quickly, and we might as well try to do exactly what we want to do, and try to make it happen. And it may be that it can't be your full-time thing. It could be like we're talking about Holly, with just working at a horse stable, just to be reconnected with the horses, something, or volunteering in a children's hospital. There's so many different ways that we could have that change come into our lives and be part of our passion every day.
I'm glad that people reached out to you after the last time you were here about setting boundaries. And I like to let people that that you are available for people to make contact with.
Anytime. I love
Excellent.
chatting. So I love helping people. I am an advocate for professional women and helping them create a fulfilling life of passion, and teaching them through, time management and reaching goals and work-life balance. So, and women that are in professional businesses, helping their businesses get to the next level in marketing and networking.
Yeah. I think that's just as important as deciding to make the changes. Now focusing on the right steps to get where you need to be, or where you want to be.
That's right.
Wow. That was
It's
a quick
lot.
half an hour.
It was a quick half an hour.
See?
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
And Holly, she was telling me how nervous she was.
I know. She told me to.
And you do very well. I
Well,
don't know.
thank you. You guys are great. You make me feel very comfortable, and I love being here. Thank you.
Good.
Pam
Thank you.
Drizwicki.
Thank you.
Find her on Facebook, and
Powerful-purpose.com.
this is the name of her website. And thank you again.
Thank
Anything
you.
you'd like to add before we boogie?
No, just stay true to yourself and listen to your inner self. That's the most important thing.
You can't argue with logic like that. You're listening to the Miscellaneous Morning Show. Thank you again. And we'd like to thank our sponsors right now for the Miscellaneous Morning Show and all the programming here at WAPJ Torrington. Thank you very much to T&M Builders, the Roberts Tax Group, Torrington Savings Bank, and the I-Beans, H. Temkin Foundation. We'd also like to thank Weigold's Floor Covering, Torrington Ford Lincoln, Charlotte Hungerford Hospital, and the Nutmeg Conservatory for the Arts. And I have one song for Pam before she gets on out of here this morning. Here's David Bowie, Changes, here on the Miscellaneous Morning Show.
Your morning juice.
Oh, yeah.